Finally, our time to deploy Titus team on the shelves has come. The boxes are quite conventional, with just the Space Marine 2 logo reminding us that these belong to a different license. But who cares if they look cool and allow us to reenact our heroes performing incredible feats of valor. Time to unleash some Ultramarines glory. We'll start with our favorite lieutenant, who, while shipped in standard packaging, comes with a lot of accessories, to the point that JOYTOY is also providing us with an instruction leaflet for helping us. But besides the plethora of accessories, the most striking feature is the difference in body proportions and size when compared to past releases. Titus looks massive, and Gadriel and Chiron are also keeping up with him, with some minor stylistic differences. All share the same accessories, with a slightly different bolt rifle for Gadriel. Let's grab Titus and check his articulation, starting from the shoulders, since I already know that pauldrons have been re-engineered to have Terminator-style joints that allow for a much improved lateral raise and therefore posing options. And you have the usual rotation along the x-axis, of course. It is very nice. The massive legs instead are limited by the armor sculpt, especially at the hip joints. Those massive thighs won't allow Titus and friends to become great soccer champions for sure, but they should be good enough for normal posing, at least for what I have in mind. Besides this, it looks a much improved intercessor armor that I really like because of this sheer presence. It is a big and bulky without getting to ridiculous levels, and it is a great rendition of the actual game armor as far as I can tell. The painting is clean with some generous shading all around, but nothing exceptional. I have seen better jobs, but also much worse. For example, some inking of the gold parts is a quick and simple improvement to give them a better look. Lucky for me, there are no apparent defects. In general, this body type looks like a great improvement from an engineering perspective. I hope to see more of these in the future, even if older figures will look hopelessly outclassed. Titus' face sculpt is good. Nothing incredibly expressive, but good enough for normal posing. Chiron's bare head is also quite nice, maybe a bit too shiny, while Gadriel's face is not my cup of tea with that number of scars that looks like veins. I think that I will use a helmet for him. And talking about helmets, they are okay with another clean paint job with the same level of dark shading that makes them consistent with the armor. We have the Titus one, then Gadriel's Insurgent Red, and finally Chiron, who has the most conventional of them all. The nice feature is that you can mount an LED light inside it for 50% more badassery. Sadly, all of mine do not fit, so I will need to find alternatives later on. Let's take a quick look at Titus' Battle Brothers, starting with the hot-headed one. Chiron is pretty much the same as Titus, with obvious differences for the cybernetic arm and other small visual details. The paper strip, for example, around the left arm is a nice effect compared to the Titus chains, and he has a lot of purity seals on the pauldrons and on the chin guards. The Emperor protects. Sergeant Gadriel has a nice heraldic shield and some more rank decorations. I love those leather armor strips at groin level. They give him a very Roman-like look. I think that this is my favorite armor among all three. But besides this, everything else we saw for Titus does apply here for Chiron and Gadriel: articulations, painting quality, and general sights. When talking about weapons, there is nothing surprising. They are all armed with bolt rifles, bolt pistols, and chainswords. These weapons are the same standard models we have seen for other Space Marines in the past, so there is nothing revolutionary. The painting quality is okay, no highlights whatsoever, so I did it on my own. It is quite simple to paint some rough steel metal lines along the edges that, in my opinion, give these weapons a much better look, especially for Marines that have been fighting untold horrors in their entire lives. The strangest thing is that the bolt pistols are quite small compared to other similar warhammer weapons. that you can see at the bottom row in the picture. I decided to use one of the old pistols for my own figures, since I like them more, and I think they are more appropriate for the figure size. Each one of our battle brothers comes with flying equipment, in case you want to pose them in a more assault marine fashion. We have this jetpack that looks a bit larger than the ones we saw for the jetpack intercessors. We have movable flaps and rotating jet exhaust, of course. There is also a nice red hot effect to simulate it is working, I guess. Then we are also provided with these thrusters that can be swapped on the standard ones on the lower legs. It is quite easy to do and there is no moving part before and after the operation. It just fits perfectly. Time to deploy our team and rescue the loyal servants of the Imperium oppressed by filthy Xenos, heretics and mutants. The more I look at them, the more I am enthusiastic for their shelf presence. JOYTOY has done a great work in staying close to the game characters and still engineering them for action figures, making the right trade-offs in my opinion. When talking about bare heads, though, Titus and Chiron are my favorite, while I don't like Gadrel's bare face, excessive scars in the base sculpt. Additionally, they could have gone for some more expressive looks, like a defiant one for Titus and an angry one for Chiron. The hands are made of soft plastic that still require me using an air dryer to soften them up and make them use their weapons. Nothing surprising in discovering that Titus is quite taller and larger than standard humans like our Arcadians and Scions. The poor Blade Guard veteran is quite humbled instead. Better not to post them side to side. Same for our good old heavy intercessor with heavy bolter. Can't wait to see updated Gravis pattern models in the future. Marshal Baldecrat and his new custom helmet are also quite impressed by Titus' incredible shape, and the same can be told for his lieutenant colleague, Argarante. The Eradicator Sergeant is also left behind on the hate competition while still holding up on the whip. Our beloved chapter master, Marnius Calgar, is definitely needs an upgrade too. Hopefully we will see soon an updated model based on the game characters. Fingers crossed. The old generation Terminators are catching up a bit, but still shorter, and we need to bring the new Terminators in to finally give Titus a challenge. And I believe that these Space Marines and new Terminators are perfect fits for each other in both 40k and 30k settings, but this is another topic for another video. Our beloved non-Titus Sergeant has served us well, but now it is time to send him back among the ranks, and compared to some new Blood Angels releases from horusheresy settings, I can spot a pattern in JOYTOY manufacturing process. They do not use the same technology, but definitely something is happening on the production lines. Finally, we can invoke the primarch to put Titus and his team to the rightful place in the height hierarchy. I don't know about your plans with Tyranids, but I bought the dreadful bugs only for this moment, the showdown between Titus and the savage Leviathan warrior. Well, also for including the others, but we all know that space is limited in most cases. Yet this allowed me to put the great articulations at work. While I'm impressed by the Tyranid warrior design and the ability to move those many limbs and still hold the pose, I could also finally leverage Titus' improved shoulder joints and pauldrons to prepare for the strike. The only problem is that I had to make him hold the pistol in the left hand, since apparently there is no way to attach the pistol to the hip plate like Titus does in the game and the video. I have seen people using magnets to help with that, so this is something that I would like to try in the future. For now, I will consider myself a poetic license and make Titus hold the weapon in his hand. While Titus is for certain the protagonist of the story, there is room also for Chiron, which I decided to pose when unleashing his bolter against a few smaller hormagaunts, advancing and shooting with deadly precision and without any respite, like a proud son of Guilliman. The cybernetic arm has no issues, with a simple yet cool metal paint that gives our unrelenting brother his peculiar look. I really like this new body type. While not absurdly flexible like the previous one, it has fixed all the major problems that were a turner for me, the unrealistic proportions and limited shoulder articulations. I'm sure JOYTOY can improve the engineering more for future releases, but for me this current design is already fixing most of the problems I had. In most cases I'm using helmets, as you can see, which seems to me the most appropriate way of displaying them in these fighting scenes. I'm probably biased by the game, since I usually prefer to display my figures without a helmet, because, you know, the rule of cool. And using a helmet would have been my preferred option for Gadriel anyway, because of his ugly face. And I also took the opportunity for giving him an assault marine setup with his jetpack and thrusters. I still kept the bolt rifle because the model has a scope that makes it easy to think that he's shooting from above with infallible aim before landing and switching to a more melee-focused style. And this is also an opportunity for comparing him with the sergeant from the Jetpack Intercessor's team. Definitely Gadriel is much bigger and bulkier, with a lot more presence, but the other sergeant is still defending himself quite nice. The jetpack also has different proportions. Again, my preference is for the new one, but it is something that you notice only by focusing on finding the differences.
Runners, assemble around the standard! Victory or death! Yes, brother! Victory or death! Second company! We hold this ground in the name of the primarch! If we die with vengeance on our lips! My leg is gone, brother! Cover him! All formation! Back, you treacherous scum! Furious! He has fallen!
I had great expectations for this Marines trio, and JOYTOY did a great job, almost perfect. Their faces could have benefited from more personality expression-wise, and a more premium paint job would have been welcome, including the weapons that look quite cheap. But despite that, this is a must-have for any Warhammer collector. Having said that, I wish you a nice rest of the day defending the shelves against the unrelenting hordes of the Dust God.